This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
I'm Bob Joseph, and you are listening to WNBF 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, streaming at WNBF.com. This is Binghamton Now. WNBF! Number is 607-772-1290. Give us a call. Let us know what's going on. What do you think about anything? What do you think? I know you're saying, well, Bob, we don't have to call because you already know what we think. Well, no, I have no idea what you think. I need you every day to update me, to let me know what you think, because I understand things are moving quickly and you're probably going to have new thoughts every morning. So let's start things off. Let's take the first caller at 1011. Good morning, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Beverly number 2 from the town of Dickinson.
And welcome. Welcome.
Before you get into these political things, I wanted to tell you that yesterday I saw the most beautiful rainbow ever. Do you like rainbows?
I do. I love rainbows.
How long has it been since you've seen a rainbow?
Ooh, a couple of months.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, well.
I saw one, but it wasn't a great one. It wasn't really well pronounced. I had great expectations because there was heavy rain, and then the sun came out, and I could tell as I looked toward the east that there were dark skies and it was still raining over there, but to the west, the sun was shining, and I thought for certain I was going to see a great rainbow, and it didn't turn out to be as good as I expected, but still, it was not a bad rainbow. So tell me, so were you home when you saw the rainbow?
Yes, I was home. I noticed that the sky was real dark to the north, but it was real light to the south. And I said, this is perfect environment for a rainbow. So I went out on my front step, and I looked towards Front Street, and I saw this most beautiful rainbow high up in the sky. The colors were just as clear as can be. And below it was another rainbow, faded looking, but there were two rainbows. The rainbow only lasts, like 5 or 10 minutes, but I sit out there and watched it until it faded away. It was just beautiful. So I had to tell you about that today.
Well, thank you. Did you get pictures?
No, but the man next door did. He had a cell phone. I called him and told him.
That's good.
Nobody was out. Everybody's in their houses. But when I saw the sky conditions, I thought, this is perfect. And sure enough, we had a gorgeous rainbow.
Oh, well, I'm glad.
He could take pictures of it with his cell phone.
Yeah. Well, if you see him later, ask him to send a picture. Send the best picture to Bob at WNBF.com, because I love looking at rainbows.
Oh, my goodness. It was just absolutely gorgeous. I don't know when we'll see another one so perfect.
Keep your eyes open.
Going right up north, and it went, south, like from Broomtech, all the way over up Front Street.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
One time I got a nice rainbow. It was down near the stadium. It was on Henry Street. I think I was near the post office, and so I was looking east toward the stadium, and I got a pretty close to perfect shot of the rainbow. One end going in over toward the stadium, the other end toward Court Street. And I think that was, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago. But I always keep my eye out for rainbows. One time when I was driving home from work after a heavy downpour late one afternoon, I saw in my rear view mirror, I saw a rainbow, and I thought to myself, gee, I wish I could pull off into the median right now and take pictures, but it wouldn't have been safe to do so.
No, I know. You have to take the opportunity when you have it, like the man next door.
Yep.
I called him up because I don't know if everybody's interested in rainbows, but I am. I know I talked to somebody else, and they didn't seem to be interested. But my goodness, how often do you see such a wonderful phenomenon of nature?
You don't see it often enough. That's why when you do, it's so special. So I appreciate your sharing that with me. That makes me, even though I didn't see it, it makes me feel good that you and some other people in the town of Dickinson and elsewhere were able to see that rainbow. That's great.
Oh, my goodness, it was just absolutely perfect.
Excellent.
So I had to share that with you because I know you're an environmental person.
Right. Did you get much rain?
Well, we did get, no, not an awful lot. We did have for a while a torrential downpour, and the streets were, the water was really running fast on the streets and in the driveways and everywhere, but it didn't last long. So we were very lucky here that we haven't had any problems with the rain.
All right. Well, I'm glad. I know I was looking at some of the rainfall amounts on Long Island. Stony Brook had 9.4 inches of rain.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah, and some other communities, Long Island, New Jersey, and Connecticut, received a lot of rain in a short period of time. So it was devastating for some people. But that's the weird thing. Sometimes areas get a lot of rain, and then if you travel just a few miles away, some spots get no rain.
I know. Say, I have to tell you one more interesting thing.
Sure.
I was going to call the other day, but I didn't. On August 14th, 1963, I was in New York City during the blackout. Can you imagine being in New York City during the blackout?
No, I can't imagine. What year was that? Which blackout?
1963.
Ah. Yeah, I can't imagine being in New York City anytime when there's a blackout. I love New York City, but I don't know if I would love it during a blackout because sometimes some people sometimes don't behave well during a blackout.
I know. Well, it wasn't a problem then, but I was on 34th and 7th or something like that. I was working for Endicott Johnson, and we were visiting the Montgomery Ward Division, and we were at the main office in New York City. And we had our meeting with the hierarchy of Montgomery Ward. We started down the hall towards the elevator at 3 minutes to 5. The elevator wasn't working. Everything was dark, and we didn't know why. We ended up walking down the stairs. We got to the lobby. The lobby is full of people waiting for the lights to come back on. We waited a while. Nothing was happening. Well, we walked across the street, and there was a restaurant, and they had gas stoves and things, so we had dinner. And then we went to our hotel, which thankfully we were only on the 7th floor. The traffic was horrible. Could hardly cross the street. There were no traffic lights. The police came out, and they tried to do something about the jam. It was unreal. So I thought I would share that with you.
All right. Well, better you than me. Thank you for the memories. Hope you have a great day.
I hope you do, too. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. 1019 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
This is Larry from Kirkwood, Bob.
Hey, Larry.
How you doing, my man?
I am well. How are things?
Much better, thank you.
Did you receive much rain?
I didn't look out last night, but I heard the thunder. I surely did. But I just wanted to say, in regards to what that beautiful lady was just saying, the rainbow is God's covenant with the earth, never to flood the earth again. You remember that?
Well, I've heard that, but I don't subscribe to it because every couple of months around here it seems like we get some flooding. So apparently it's a nice idea, but apparently we're still going to get as much flooding as ever.
Well, never to destroy the earth by flood. That's more.
Okay. Well, in 2011, it looked like they were trying.
Well, I remember that very well.
Yeah.
That's very true. Hey, let's talk about the convention going on tonight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought you would never ask. What do you want to know?
I don't want to know anything. I just want to say, normally, I would just call this the dog and pony show. But it's a lot worse coming up here. A lot worse. These people are jokers personified. And I do want you to know, I'm going to check in on this thing once in a while. I mean, I probably won't be able to stand very much of it, but it'll be interesting to see how far these people fall apart. It'll be great.
Oh, I think it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna try to tune in. Well, I can't see it all, but I'm going to try to watch a lot of it because I think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, right.
I mean, finally, it's nice to see some fresh faces, not the usual suspects, the people. What can you say? The same old cast of characters that we all know and no longer love. They may have been lovable at one point, but we no longer love them. So we want new characters. We want new hope. We want some joy. We want to look forward to something for the next 8 years.
Yes. Yes, the buzzword. Joy.
Joy to the world.
After the mess they put us in, they dare to say that. They dare to say, we want to bring you back joy. Clean up the mess you made first.
There's no need to clean up the mess. I was shopping the other night and somebody made a mess, and it was right near the registers. And I'm looking, and everybody's like looking, they're scared because of the mess. And I won't go into particulars, but everybody's scared. They're putting on gloves and everything. And I'm like, hey, it's just a mess. It's just a mess. Really? I mean, messes will be made. So I view that, but they, to their credit, at that store where somebody made a mess, and even though they had to close off one of the checkout lanes until the big mess was cleared up, they did clear it up. They did a nice job. I saw the work they were doing. It was maybe the Democrats could hire them. Clean up your big mess. Am I right?
Yes. A massive mess. Maybe they'd help them, actually. Okay, Bob. Bless you, man.
All right. Be well. Yeah. The excitement begins, I think, in just a few hours. CNN had a countdown clock about when the big convention excitement begins. So, of course, now they're in a commercial. So let me see. Maybe Fox has the countdown clock. That's what they do now. Let's see. Well, MSNBC doesn't have a countdown clock. They just say their coverage will begin at 6. So that would be about, let me do the math, 7 hours and 36 minutes or so. Even Fox News is going to have special coverage. So you know it's going to be exciting. America will be watching for the excitement from Chicago as the convention gets underway. This will be the most exciting week of the year so far. Good morning, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
America will be listening to the radio show every morning. Anyway, this is Matt. Absolutely. Good morning, Matt. I mean, this is a week of joy, hope, and just optimism. It's I haven't encountered so many people this hopeful in several years. Well, it's interesting. One of the reasons I was just watching Morning Joe, and they had Martin Sheen on, and the woman who played his chief of, or I think it played his press secretary, and they were drawing parallels. If you remember, he also stepped aside for a new dawn in the party at the end of the show. So I think that and Aaron Sorkin, the guy who wrote The West Wing, said it was a love letter to public service. And I think that's the most important thing we should be focusing on. We've gotten so far away from, everybody's so cynical and believes that public service is, service to yourself most of the time because of some of the things we've gone through in the last several decades. And we got to get back to public service that's really public service. And the West Wing's been, there's just a new book coming out about the whole making making of the West Wing, and sounds real interesting. But anyway, Lindsey Graham was on. They're playing policy. He says the president needs to talk about policies and not, everybody's urging him to pivot from his grievance and his and everything he's saying. And the most he could say in the last press conference was, he admitted that Kamala Harris is a good-looking woman, but then he goes on to say, I'm far better looking than she is. And that is what we have on the other side. He can't, because he has no policies, his policies so far that he's announced are tariffs on everything we import, which will be, the Wall Street Journal said, will be like the biggest tax increase on the middle class that you've ever seen. And then he says he can't say anything about Roe anymore because he knows how, more than 50% of the population, including many, many Republican women, are against him on that. And what he brought and what he brags about that he overturned Roe versus Wade, and now he's trying to back off from it. Crime, which they always, especially in the last congressional elections in New York State, was a big issue, and now we find out, if you look at the crime statistics, that violent crime, there's certainly too much crime. They're always, but the kind of crime that should scare people is going way down, and then the border crossings, when Trump turned over when Obama turned over the border to Trump, immigration, go look it up, folks. It was at a 50-year low, and then it skyrocketed under Trump, and so it's a problem that he had a chance to, just recently there was a chance to finally pass a border bill that even the border guards were saying they liked people that are on the front lines all the time, and Donald Trump, we all know, killed that border deal. So what does
that's to be expected. That was for political purposes. It wasn't because he didn't like the country. He just needed to keep this issue alive at least through November 5th.
Right, exactly. So then we go back to what's the purpose of public service, good public service, and that's what West Wing was all about. So we need hope. And you're exactly right. That's why people are so excited. All of a sudden, they see a guy like Tim Walz, who's such a down-to-earth guy. People can relate to him. He's got a tremendous track record in the, teacher for all those years. He's like Friday Night Lights on, he brought a team that was nothing to a state championship where they lost all their games when he took over, and he won a state championship not that long afterwards. And then he's, so you got him, and he's got such a down-earth way of relating to people. And you got Kamala Harris, who's incredibly mediocre. She's done a meteor-like rise to the top because... It's
remarkable. It's clearly, this is an American success story.
Right. So that's what they have nothing to counter with it, especially when you have a candidate like Donald Trump who can't. And then they're saying, they always send me these notices. And Byron Nelson, the congressman from Florida, he was on a call. I just clicked on a Zoom call yesterday in New York State for talking about how we can make sure elections have integrity. And basically, they were like scaring people on that call, telling, well, we don't have enough Democratic poll watchers in New York State. Like somebody stealing elections in New York State. So it's a joke. They're trying to convince people. Here's their whole playbook for the rest of the way. They know Donald Trump's going to lose now, and they're setting it up for hopefully something that doesn't work. But they're setting it up for Donald Trump saying that the election was stolen. He's got all these state electors in place now in places that he didn't have before, and it could be a real mess because he's not going to, when he loses, he's not going to go quietly. We all know that. And
that's what I worry about. What if there's more trouble after this year's election than there was after the 2020 election? I think there are some people including people that the Republican candidate has no control over, who could make life miserable. I think he's potentially playing with fire. I don't think he knows how dangerous this can be. If it's just people who are going to go out and protest and say, we're unhappy and we're losers, that's one thing. But if it comes down to where some people, and it's been documented, police, law enforcement agencies are monitoring some of the people who are preparing with guns and more to do bad things, Matt, if their candidate doesn't win. And the problem is, even if he invites them to knock it off at some point, even if they're, think they're trying to show their disgust that he's a loser again, he won't be able to control those people. They'll be totally beyond his control. I think that's the fear.
Well, and it's also, there's a new movie called War Game, and it's exactly about that scenario. And it was military, it was all these people that know about everything that goes on, and the chances that certain people from the military, it's really going to come down to what the people in the military do. And they wrote a thing about, they were war gaming the chance that a certain amount of military people would join the insurrectionists, and how you would game that out to make sure they don't succeed like they have in Venezuela right now, at least to this point. I think ultimately they won't succeed in Venezuela, but there's going to be a lot of lives lost. There already has been a lot of lives lost, and we could see that kind of scenario in the United States with this guy, and it is terrifying in some ways. I mean, I'm hoping beyond hope that doesn't happen, obviously, but it's definitely, that's what they're setting it up for. And that's what these phone calls are all about. They're trying to convince people that, they're going to say that the elections aren't fair. You should see the comments of people that are scrolling during this Zoom call. And there was only he said, well, there's 350 people on here. I expected to be a lot more. Thank God there was only 350. But these people are lunatics.
I wouldn't say lunatics, but
you saw the text.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see those texts. I don't want to see it. I'll just pretend they don't exist.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's what I don't want you to do, because I like your optimism, and that's what the.
Well, I'm looking forward to hope and joy and enthusiasm and making America better, not making America great again. America has always been great, at least since I've been on the scene. And Matt, I've been on the scene for a while. America was great when I arrived on Binghamton's west side with the appropriate amount of fanfare, and America has maintained its greatness during every moment since I arrived, and it's not going to change now. It's only going to get better.
Okay.
All right. Don't you worry about a thing. It's 10:33. This is Bob Joseph live on WNBF and WNBF.com. WNBF proudly presents Ask the Job Fair Guru.
That's one word for it, I guess.
I guess. A bunch of words. Anyway, we're joined by Eric Donaldson, who has agreed to grace us with his presence in a desperate bid to make the program popular again. Thank you.
The least I can do, Bob.
Yes. Anyway, the job fair.
Yes, our next job fair.
Up Wednesday.
Next job fair is this coming Wednesday, August 21st. We have moved the hours earlier by 1 hour, so it's 10 a.m. until 1. We used to begin these job fairs at 11, but we found that we had a bigger crowd early and people showing up early, so we thought, well, let's just make the job fair run from 10 until 1 at the Broome County Farmers Market building on Upper Front Street. That's the complex out by SUNY Broome and Cracker Barrel. Really can't miss it out there. So
it's easy to see.
Easy to see.
And easy to get to now, thanks to not one, but 2 new Ryan roundabouts.
There you go.
They love the Ryan roundabout downtown so much that the town of Dickinson put in an order for 2 Ryan roundabouts.
I actually find those out there to be a little easier to navigate than the one here in town.
Oh, I
personally.
agree. No, I agree. And sometimes just for kicks, if I have a little extra time, I'll go around, 5 or 6 times to see if there are any law enforcement people like, boop boop, they light me up. Bob, you didn't do anything. I don't think there's a law.
Is there a law? I don't know that there is. You probably could just go round and round and round if you wanted to, I suppose, right?
I have a friend who does that, and every time he does that, he likes the original Ryan roundabout, and he drives around in his little BMW, and I say, that's really unnecessary, but he does it because he knows I am especially fond of the Ryan roundabout, and I say, well, at some point, there's going to be some police officer who's going to take a dim view. It may not be technically against the law, but she'll probably say, you really just should get on your way and stop, creating a spectacle of yourself.
Yeah. Well, you are a spectacle, so.
Well, that's why I'm beloved. Anyway, continue.
Yes,
Let's
the job
talk.
fair. So we have 15 businesses that'll be at the event on Wednesday, and they include Amrex Chemical. It will be there. They're looking for CDL A and B drivers, day shift warehouse workers, and diesel mechanics. Binghamton University Dining Services will be at this event, and obviously with the beginning of the new school year, they are looking to increase their staffing at all of their facilities. The Children's Home will be there. They're always looking for teachers, aides, and a wide variety of service providers. Elmcrest Children's Center is a new vendor for us this year, and they're hiring direct support professionals. The folks from Good Shepherd Village in Endwell and Good Shepherd Fairview Home will be there, and there's a whole paragraph of needs between those facilities, so you'll want to be sure to look for the people from Good Shepherd. The Greater Binghamton Health Center is there. They provide comprehensive outpatient and inpatient services for people with serious mental illness, serving youth and adults. They're currently hiring teachers along with many other positions. The Guthrie Clinic will be there, hiring physicians, nurses, administrative and advanced practice providers, allied health and professional positions, clinical support and services. Helio Health hasn't been at one of our job fairs for a while, but they will be in attendance, and they have, again, a whole list of needs and some really aggressive sign-on incentives ranging from $1,500 to $3,000, then some positions with $4,000, and even some RN positions with $8,000 sign-on bonuses with Helio Health. Marabito Energy Products is hiring for cashiers, food service workers, HVAC technicians, managers in training, CDL drivers, administrative assistants, and customer service representatives. The New York Army National Guard also has some really aggressive sign-on bonuses, up to $20,000 for some of their positions. Racker has been at our job fairs in the past, and they are with us again this time. They are a leading human service agency dedicated to helping people with disabilities, providing medical and nursing intervention to clients based on individual needs, and they are looking for everything from nurses to child care and offer very competitive salaries. The 6th Judicial District will be there. They're hiring for social work positions, managerial positions, an HR position, and upcoming court officer exams. Town Square Media, we're there, obviously, as always, and we're always in the market for people who are interested in advertising and marketing, account executive positions. UHS, United Health Services, will be there with a wide variety of needs. And then Willow Run Foods, looking for CDLA and CDLA drivers and driver trainees, line haul drivers, yard jockeys, night warehouse and warehouse maintenance second shift. So that's just sort of a brief overview. If you know somebody who is in the market for a new career, or perhaps you know someone who is moving back to the area and is going to be looking for employment, or if you know someone who perhaps recently graduated this past spring and is looking for job opportunities, this will really be a wonderful chance to talk with a wide variety of businesses and some of the leading employers in the area.
And if you, for some reason, didn't hear the overview or need reinforcement, more information, you can go to WNBF.com and click on the part where it says job fair.
What a wonderful thing.
It's great, thanks to technology.
Technology is great.
Really, Well, seriously, what would I do without it, Eric?
And we've talked about this before, but think about, back to the days when you and I were both starting in this industry and what technology is now allows us to do. It really is kind of striking. So.
It's incredible. As recently as 10 years ago, I wouldn't have dreamed of some of the stuff we have in the studio here.
Oh, we say that from an advertising perspective all the time. I mean, we spend as much time selling streaming TV commercials as we do selling radio commercials anymore.
Well, all the industries have sort of, now there's overlap and everybody's able to do a little bit of everything. And WNBF and Town Square Media has been working now for well over a decade to really be on the cutting edge of technology to help advertisers target the people that they want to reach.
Yeah, that's we always talk about being a digital first company. We've got great radio stations by all means, but Town Square really has set itself on a different course than a lot of media companies, just in terms of whether it's our website division where we build websites for companies and help them with their search engine optimization, to targeted digital campaigns, to radio campaigns, people who love running commercials on the Bob Joseph Show.
As they should. But they should also want to expand their reach and take advantage of all the opportunities, all the available options to reach as many potential customers as possible.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating industry that we're in. The things that we have the ability to do now that we just never dreamed of, like you say, 10 years ago, much less 30, 40 years ago.
Absolutely. Eric, thank you for joining us.
Bob, thank you.
Have a great day. And I know you are going to be at the job fair.
I will be at the job fair.
All right. And then you can come back Wednesday afternoon with a full report.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
There you have it. And again, if you want more information, you can check our website, WNBF.com. Yeah, check the website. All the information you need, including breaking local news, stories you're not going to find elsewhere, at least not as quickly. It's WNBF. We're on the air at 92.1 FM, 1290 AM. Stay connected using the free WNBF app. And we'll look forward to speaking with as many people as possible today. We're here till noon, although I encourage people not to wait till the last minute. Sometimes people think, well, I know what I'm going to do. I am going to wait till the last possible minute, and then I can say something profound, and that will be what is viewed by many as the last word on the subject. And it's understandable if you want to get the last word in, but one thing you may not realize, maybe you've noticed it or maybe it never occurred to you, the later you call, the more likely your call is to be truncated. That means shortened, because when we're in the final minutes of the program, that means time is of the essence. And so sometimes the calls have to be shorter so I can squeeze as many calls in as possible. So it's to your advantage to call early. Hi, WNBF. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Bob. It's DJ from Binghamton. I was watching the news yesterday, and then I YouTubed it after I saw the news piece. I couldn't believe that she's the most heckled president I've ever seen in my lifetime. And the only thing I'm going to watch is the tens of thousands of Palestinian protesters because I can't.
She's president? She's the most heckled president? She's already president?
Vice president.
Oh, I thought you said president, and I'm thinking like, oh, I must have gone to sleep. I didn't realize we already had a woman president, but we will soon enough.
What I meant to say was presidential candidate, and let me tell you this. You were right when you said, because I'm not watching a thing of this Democratic convention because it's the same old faces. It's going to be Biden, who's been in there for 80 years, Clinton speaking 60 years, Schumer 150 years. All these people are old faces. What I enjoyed the most was the fresh faces at the pro-life convention a week or so ago when Kai Madison Trump, 17 years old, you've never seen that before. She may be the next president. The only thing is that you'll be in your 80s, and if the rapture doesn't come, we might not be. But that's a good chance that she's going to get into
I'd say
some form of politics.
Here's my response to that. Slim and none.
Why do you say that?
Because, no, America's not going to fall for that.
The money's there.
It's not about, come on. When it comes to business, when it comes to business, it's about the money. When it comes to politics, you have to have some ideas. You can't just throw billions of dollars at someone and say, oh, the name is well known, so people will vote for her. You got to have some substance.
You'd probably say the same thing. I don't know what decade it was in, many, many decades ago when Barbara Walters interviewed Donald Trump. He looked like he was in his 30s or so, and everybody, he'll never make it for president. Did you ever watch a YouTube video where all those so-called stars of Hollywood said, Donald Trump is not going to be president? There's a video on YouTube. If you've never watched it, listeners, you need to watch it. Every Hollywood star you've ever seen said he's not going to be president. So that's the same thing with what you just said. She'll never be president. If she wants to, she will. And
well, I'm not saying no. Well, I don't want to discourage her. Well, let me make something perfectly clear, DJ. I am not trying to discourage her from pursuing a career in politics, whether it's local or at the state level, or eventually even running for national office. I do not want to discourage her from at some point aspiring to be president. I just gave you my personal impression right now on August 19th, 2024. But as you know, things can happen. Who knows? She may, in fact, turn out to be the very best qualified candidate when she turns 35, when she will be eligible for the presidency, because we have no idea going that far ahead. You said, how old is she now? 15? 10?
She's legal age in most states. She just turned 17.
All right, so that means she would have to wait for another 18 years before she could be president, because unless they change it, they can always change it. They could change the thing, whatever they call it, they could change the thing so we could have a 21-year-old president. There's no reason why we have to limit ourselves. This 35-year-old age limit to be president, I mean, that knocks out millions of other young, fresh faces. I think they should lower the age to maybe 20.
Well, the main thing is that I'm saying that I called for this morning is to say that the pro-lifers have nothing to worry about. When you watch the tens of thousands of Palestinian protesters that are coming to heckle this vice president, the pro-lifers have nothing to worry about November. I couldn't believe it.
Well, I don't know if they have anything to worry about. I don't think anybody should be worried about President Harris. I think she's going to do probably a better job than the last 5 presidents. I don't think she can do a better job than Jimmy Carter, but few could.
Bob, the comedians are calling her Kamala.
Oh. That's just, that shows that they absolutely have no real material. If you had real material, you wouldn't have to resort to such a cheap tactic.
Oh, man.
So what did you think? You went down to see the thing in Wilkes-Barre, so what did you take away from that?
I would never go to a rally. I'm not a name chaser.
You didn't go to the rally down at Wilkes-Barre, down at the, what do they call it, the Spectrum?
Absolutely not. I'm not a name chaser. I go for the policies, not the name.
Oh, okay.
If they're pro-life, I'll vote for them. I don't care who it is.
You know, I thought some people from around here were supposed to go, but here we are, an hour into the program, and evidently nobody who listens to Binghamton Now even bothered to go.
They don't leave the house. Vinny, you don't leave the house. But I never see any of the callers at any festivals or parades.
I go to festivals and parades. I was at the Strawberry Festival.
You have to be in the parade, but you know what I notice about you? You don't throw any candy out.
No, because it's dangerous. I don't want somebody to be killed. Why would I throw candy out during a parade? Do I think that it's good to put people at risk?
Okay, let's change it. They'll run up to your car if you have miniature kids.
No. You don't train kids or adults to take candy from strangers. Come on, man. That's the first thing you learn when you're a kid. Your mom says, don't take candy from strangers. And then 2 months later, you take your kid to a parade and they're taking candy from strangers and also getting close to being run over by big vehicles.
Mr. Jackson, who worked at Endicott Tool and Die when Charlotte Street was a dead end, way before the Price Chopper Gate, came down and always gave us, in his big Cadillac, gave us candy and bubble gum, bazooka, and candy. We always took candy, and I give out candy to children all the time at the parades. And,
well, it seems like it should be illegal to be giving candy out to children.
Oh, no, you want to teach? No, that's teaching generosity.
No, you can be generous. If you want to be generous, give them cash. Cash is king. Cash is king. The candy could be tainted. A kid comes home with a big bag full of candy after a parade. Where are you going to take it to? The lab to have it tested? It's 10:59. More calls coming up on WNBF. We're joined now by Becky Galunas, the reality check coordinator, tobacco-free Broome and Tioga. And Becky, appreciate your joining us on this morning's program. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, I received a news release a short time ago about something that is going to be happening in the village of Owego. And anytime that young people get involved, especially when it comes to cleaning up tobacco litter, seems to me that's a good thing. So I wanted to have you on the program and have you explain what's going on.
Well, thank you so much. So last week, Tobacco-Free Broome and Tioga Reality Check Youth conducted a tobacco litter cleanup throughout the village of Owego. It included Owego Riverwalk, Draper Park, Owaga Park, and the connecting River Bank Trail. And then tonight we're going to be going and sharing these findings with the Owego Village Board to educate them about the effects of tobacco litter, secondhand smoke exposure, and local policy options to combat these issues within the community. So the Village of Owego had adopted a smoke-free policy in June of 2014 that prohibited smoking cigarettes in village parks, playgrounds, fields, and spectator areas to eliminate the exposure of secondhand smoke to park goers. But since then, right, so that policy is great, but since that policy was implemented, vaping and electronic cigarettes or electronic cigarette devices have hit the market at alarming rates, right, along with the legalization of marijuana. So many businesses and organizations and municipalities have chosen to adopt smoke-free policies that include tobacco, vaping, and cannabis products to protect their community from the exposure of secondhand smoke and vaping aerosols in these outdoor settings, because we know there really is no safe level of exposure to secondhand smoke carcinogens. Right?
So everywhere I go, though, well, here's the thing. I notice everywhere I go now, I used to at least smell tobacco smoke, and now everywhere I go in downtown Binghamton and even at some parks in Broome and Tioga counties, now I'm smoking weed. Or I'm not smoking weed. There are people who are smoking weed, and I'm just trying to enjoy a park. But I'm afraid to tell them to stop smoking weed because, well, it might not end well.
Right. So the Tobacco-free Broome and Tioga, we focus only on tobacco and vaping. However, the cannabis smoke is an issue. We know if we can smell it, right? So if we can smell the secondhand smoke, no matter what it is, right, that's going into our bodies. So that's why we want to go to the village of Owego and just educate them and what other communities are doing. Because the Clean Indoor Air Act has been in effect since 2003, and that's prevented smoking inside of all public workspaces and businesses, right? But we know this is also a problem outside, right? The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, has identified tobacco smoke as a human carcinogen, placing it in the same category as radon and benzene and asbestos, right? The Surgeon General has stated that there's no safe level of exposure of secondhand smoke, even at low levels. Right, and we also know that, right, we want to encourage healthy living habits, right? So tobacco use in family-friendly places models unhealthy behavior and normalizes the use, right, of tobacco and tobacco products. When children see adults smoking, right, they see smoking as an acceptable behavior and one that they might aspire to, right? So in addition, tobacco-free policies make it easier for current smokers who are trying to quit by removing the triggers of smoking, because we know that most people who vape or who use, cigarettes or smoke cigars, right, we know once they get addicted at that time, most of them are already thinking about how they're going to quit, and they're already kind of stuck. So studies show that 70% of smokers would like to quit. Right? Yeah. And then there's also the prevention of the harmful effects of secondhand smoke. Right, even outdoors, individuals can be exposed to levels of secondhand smoke as high as those indoors, depending on, right, the weather conditions, the proximity of the smoker, and because the lungs are smaller of children, children breathe in 50% more air pollution than adults. Right, it can cause allergies, asthma attacks, and other health problems can be triggered by even small amounts of secondhand smoke.
Yeah, doesn't sound good at all. Tell me about the this project where the young people picked up some tobacco litter. About how many people were involved in going to the different spots around Owego, finding some of the tobacco litter that was at various places, Riverwalk and some of the parks?
Yeah. So we have two active groups in Broome and Tioga County. So we have a very active group in Johnson City at the Johnson City Middle and High School, and then an active group at the Owego, in the Owego School District. During this particular event, there were only 4 youth who were able to come. Youth are very busy, they're out of school right now, and they're doing different family things and like that. But we had 4 youth who went and, walked around the grounds, and we had the rubber gloves on, and we had the little bags and the containers, and there were several people who stopped and were just so thankful that, we were picking up that tobacco litter. Tobacco litter is the most littered item that there is. And also I can just tell you a little bit about a survey that was done. So we did a community tobacco survey in 2023, and those were adult residents of Tioga and Broome County. And what we found in Tioga County was that 65% of Tioga County residents are in favor of smoke-free public building grounds and workspaces. Right? We found 60% of Tioga residents are in favor of smoke-free outdoor areas, including parks and outdoor recreational spaces. 60% are in favor of smoke-free outdoor events, including fairs and festivals. We also had the opportunity to go to the Speedy Fest, and we did some environmental scans there. That is a smoke-free park, and we found that most people were abiding by that. Most people want to have a family-friendly outdoor atmosphere where their kids are not, having to breathe in secondhand smoke, or they're not, having to breathe that in. So our community is showing support. So we are just going to be there to educate about the solutions to protect our community members.
Well, I appreciate the information. If people want to learn more about the effort, is there a way they can get more details?
Sure. They can go to tobacco-free Broome and Tioga to our website. They can also go to the GoBroomeCounty.com website. To get more information, they can call me at the health department. My number is 607-778-3919. Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate your joining us today and letting our listeners know a bit about the effort that's going on in Broome and Tioga counties, and also more specifically what is taking place now in the village of Owego. I think it's very interesting, and I hope you'll keep us posted about anything new that comes up.
Yes, we'll do. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on your show. We really appreciate it.
All right. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
11:19 WNBF. We're serving the community. Does anybody else serve the community like this? I think not. Give us a call. Operators are not standing by. We can't afford operators, but I will take the call. 607-772-1290. Call Bob Joseph, WNBF. Steve from Endwell, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks for taking the call.
So I understand you had a chance to go to Wilkes-Barre on Saturday.
That is correct.
All right. Tell me a little bit about it.
So my wife and I, Kim, we drove down Friday night just to, beat the traffic, because we all know 81 South could be like a parking lot down in Pennsylvania. So the rally, the parking opened up at 8 a.m. We got there about 10:30. I mean, there was already a line of, at least maybe 1,000 or two people in line. We got there at 10:30. The gates opened up at noon. You had to go through the Secret Service. You couldn't bring, pretty much anything in there. We were able to sit down, get through the line at about 1:30. Some of the Trump staffers actually pulled us aside, and we were fortunate enough to sit right behind, President Trump. So if you watch it on the news or TV, you'll see myself, my wife, if you're looking at it, to his right. The message, the people that were there when we were waiting in line, we've talked with a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different areas, and they were all very enthusiastic about, what Trump means to them and what he plans on bringing, to the country. We talked about what happened in Endicott, over the past few days with the illegal immigrant that, reportedly had killed the 23 people, in his hometown of Peru, and how protecting the border was, very safe because it's hit in our home area now too. The big thing was, there was a lot of positivity. There was a lot of excitement in the arena. And I would say the arena probably was about 9,000 to 10,000 people in the arena. I mean, you can't see it from the pictures that they post on the news because it's just showing him. But we were facing the whole arena in the crowd. I mean, it was just a lot of people there, all in support of, Trump, the Republican Party, on what his leadership is going to bring for the next 4 years when he's elected. The main talking points was, protecting the border, to try to keep the bad people out, and so everybody gets vetted, before they could enter the country.
Did he mention anything about the guy who was living in Endicott over on East Franklin Street for the last 2 months? Did he make any reference?
He did. Yeah, he did point that out during the speech for a few minutes. I don't think he mentioned Endicott, but he did mention that, the Peruvian native was arrested. He was detained, sent to Buffalo, and how he came across the border, I think it was back in May, through Texas. He didn't go into details, but it's how did he end up from Texas all the way up in Endicott, New York? And, you're letting somebody in that, reportedly killed 23 people in his home country. So he was very upset about that. It's like, we need to stop this. I mean, you're letting a lot of bad people, a lot of drugs, a lot of guns back into the country.
All right. Was there anything on Saturday that surprised you about the Wilkes-Barre rally? Anything that you thought was out of the ordinary, or maybe something you did not anticipate?
No, just the enthusiasm of the crowd, and you never see that at different rallies, but just the enthusiasm about what could happen in November. And just talking to different people from different backgrounds, different cultures that are all enthusiastic about that. And that was very eye-opening because, there's a lot of people that want him to succeed, who wouldn't want their president not to succeed? I mean, it's our country. So, I mean, they want him to succeed to do what's best for America. I mean,
So what happens, policy, what I'm concerned about going forward, I'm concerned that regardless of who wins, there are going to be a lot of people, as in millions, maybe even tens of millions of people, who aren't going to like the outcome of the November 5th election. And I'm wondering what happens. I mean, regardless, whether it's the Republican or the Democratic candidate, are you concerned that some people aren't going to take it well, regardless of what the outcome is? I mean, obviously, I know who you want to win, and I wouldn't worry about you or most people, but you know what I mean. There are some people that I've heard, and I know law enforcement agents are keeping a close eye on, that they may not react well. And I'm not saying specifically one side or the other. There are some people who are not prepared to accept a loss.
Right. Well, that goes for anything. I mean, look at some sports. I mean, if your team wins or your team loses, things get toppled, turned over, fire. I mean, it's just crazy. It's not. The responsibility goes to the person that's upset. I mean, if my candidate loses, it is what it is. I mean, you're not. You aren't gonna react violently. You might call in a radio program and say, "Well, I wish it turned out differently." Just like if the results go the other way, I'm sure some people will call in and say, "Oh, I can't believe that happened," but they're not going to encourage any kind of violence. And I hope we don't see any violence. That's my concern just going forward. I'm just excited that people are getting, I think, more interested in this election. I just hope people don't go off the deep end if their candidate doesn't win. Right. In the end, we are all in this together, whether we are a Republican, a Democrat, independent, libertarian. Either way, we're all in this together. We all need to just build the country up. We just need to do what's popular to the left and what's not popular to the right. We just need to do what's right. And a lot of people miss that. It's like they're so focused on, leaning to the left, leaning to the right. We got to do this, where just do what's right and everything will be okay.
I agree. I appreciate your call. Thanks for filling us in a little bit about what happened Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it was a really great atmosphere. And
all right.
This is our first one, and I'm sure we'll go to several others.
All right. Hey, thanks for calling in. Hope you have a great day.
You too. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. 11:28. Dave from Binghamton, you're on the air.
Good morning, Bob. So in regard to your, going to events and being in parades and stuff, since you don't want to throw out candy, I suggest maybe bottles of Moxie and cans of banana cream soda.
I knew we were banana cream soda, most of all.
Oh, yeah. And a little softer, maybe Malomars, that might be better for, so kids don't get concussions. But, might be a good option for you.
I think you're right. And it's guaranteed that sometime I'm going to be drinking that banana cream soda, and we're going to talk about it on the air.
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, the strawberry habanero is still an option too if your spiciness level grows.
Yeah, I think that might be a little too much for my sensitivity or sensibility. But we'll start with the banana cream soda and we'll take it from there.
Sounds good.
All right.
Have a great week.
Thank you, Dave. It's 11:30. This is WNBF Binghamton, serving America, serving everybody who has a radio, everybody who has a phone. Call us if you haven't called already. 607-772-1290. Go ahead, make that call. Binghamton Now. Binghamton Now with more calls more often. Dave and Vestal, you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning there, Bob. I've been listening at the very beginning. You tried to hype up the the commie convention that's going to be taking place there. In no way could they ever top the Republican. I mean, matter of fact, that Republican convention probably was the best convention ever, Bob, by any party. That was amazing. But we forget all about that now because of all the joy we have now for the up and coming wonderful president we may have. Bob, real quick, I want to go back to Friday because this is important. John, wonderful John, love hearing him from Binghamton, Bob. He touched on national politics. He never does that. And I know he doesn't do it for a reason. He knows so much about other things, especially locally. But that was important to me. We need his voice, all hands on deck, John. Don't stop doing that. When he says if Trump doesn't win, we won't have a country, he was spot on because we won't. So I hope he continues that. I'm imploring him to do that.
Don't encourage him. Encourage people to say if a candidate doesn't win, we won't have a country. Oh, please. Come on. I mean, it's one thing to support a candidate, but to suggest if your guy doesn't win or your gal doesn't win, to suggest that if your candidate doesn't win, we won't have a country. Hey, this country is bigger than that, baby. Nothing can stop this. Nothing will stop this country.
People won't be in the streets, Bob, no matter who wins. The only way people will be in the streets if the left wins and if they try to take us down that road to, you know what, communism.
Yeah.
If we go down the road to communism,
well, they're not going to take you, Dave from Vestal, they will not take you down the road to communism. You don't have anything to worry about. Just be happy you live in the greatest country ever and stop all this talk about mayhem and we can't accept it. Hey, you know, look at Buffalo Bills fans. They've learned how to be frequent losers. Come on, man. Just because you're a loser doesn't mean you're bad. It means you lost.
I'm not saying I would.
Yeah.
Whoever wins, Bob.
The country will be fine. Our nation will survive.
Not with Marxism, communism. No.
There's not going to be Marxism or communism. Come on, man. That's not what this is about. Tom from Susquehanna. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bob. Listen, you were talking about the riots and stuff after Trump got when Biden got elected. You know what? There was more rioting when Trump won in 20. There were 6 people, 6 cops hurt, and 1 civilian hurt. And that went on for 2 days, going into 3 days until they finally cracked down. So, it's not all on the side of and the only difference between that and the other stuff with the supposedly insurrection, which nobody was charged with insurrection, was that the press ran with it to try and use it as a thing to get at the Republicans. So, and I was surprised to find that out. I really was, because I've been hearing all this crap, and then when they said that, and I looked it up and checked it now, I'm checking it on that iPad. So, but they had newspaper reports and everything. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, I know. Nobody did. And I couldn't believe. And then I said, well, I don't think anybody. And sure enough, there was property damage and everything. This was down in Washington, D.C. And as far as it goes, that is just the breakdown of law and order. I mean, the fellow that just called and said about, if the team loses, they wreck the place. The team wins, they wreck the place. I mean, if you wanted more of this crap, you put in easy on police Harris. I mean, she's the one that bails them out.
She's good. She's good, though. She's not going to bail them out.
Bobby, she already did bail them out. She bailed them out during the Portland riots.
What, they have canceled checks where she bailed them out?
Bob.
Come on, man.
Bobby, don't
Do not say she bailed him out when she didn't bail him out.
She bailed them out. Bobby, don't.
Did she use her cash money to bail him out?
Bobby, don't chafe and divert.
I'm asking you a question.
When I'm talking.
I'm asking you a serious question, Tom.
Go ahead.
Did she use her cash money to bail him out?
Does she use her cash money for anything? No.
Okay. Case closed. She didn't bail him out.
She bailed them out.
No, she would not.
She would. She did it. Look it up in Portland. I mean, I don't understand it.
All right. Okay. Now you forced my hand. I don't like doing this on the air.
What?
Did Kamala Harris bail out the protesters in Portland?
Yes.
Hold on.
Okay.
No, she tweeted support for a bail fund, but she didn't do anything to get him out. She tweeted support for the bail fund. There's nothing wrong with supporting a bail fund. That's the American way.
Bobby.
The American system of justice, as a former NYPD cop, why we have a bail system. To protect Americans after they're accused of something. You can't. Even an NYPD cop doesn't want to arrest someone and then put her in jail forever unless until it can be proven that a crime was committed. In this society, you don't arrest someone and then say, throw away the key. Eventually, they're going to get a trial. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Bobby, one thing I will concede. You are an expert when it comes to chafe and divert. I mean, I could call up and start to talk about the Pope, and you would divert it into something else. She backed a bail fund. She didn't. Certainly, she's not going to use her own money. When does a politician use his own money? When's the last time you heard a politician use his own money? Answer me that question.
I don't know. I don't have a list.
No, you don't have a list because they don't.
Oh, man. So anyway,
right?
so she never bailed anyone out, as far as we know. Kamala Harris never bailed out anyone, as far as we know.
Oh, yeah, Bobby. Yeah, she went down to the police station in the middle of the night, and she did it. Do you realize how stupid that argument is? The only guy that will back you up on that is probably Matt Ryan. Huh? Hello, Bob?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, as long as I keep speaking the truth, most listeners will nod their head and say, Bob, I love that you stick to the facts, that you will not allow people to come on the program and tell lies or exaggerate.
Nope.
She never paid a penny. As far as we know, there's no evidence that she bailed out a single person for anything.
She bailed out people. I'm going to stay with that.
Okay. Well, then you can stay with it. And then the next time you come up with evidence that she bailed someone out, you could send it to me.
What do you mean send it to you?
Send it to me. Put it in an envelope and send it to Bob, care of General Delivery, Binghamton.
Oh, boy. Bobby, you really do chafe and divert.
Hey, thanks. It's always a pleasure. Hope you have a great afternoon.
What?
I said have a great afternoon.
Oh, okay, Bobby.
Yeah, I got more calls. I'm not being rude. I want to get more calls on.
Thanks for taking the call.
Oh,
Bob.
yeah, thanks,
Bye-bye.
Tom. I'm not being rude. That's not me. Hi, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Martin. Hi, Bob.
Oh, hi. How are you, Martin?
Well, okay. Hey, I came in late on it. Where's that job fair for my niece?
Oh, the job fair will be on Wednesday at the Cornell Cooperative Extension Building on Upper Front Street.
Okay, great.
And it's going to be Starts at 10. I'm looking up the hours now, at 10 to 1.
10 to 1. I heard him say that.
Yeah.
They used to have it 11.
Yeah, if she needs any more information, we have it on our website. But yeah, Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at it's the Broome County Regional Farmers Market, Upper Front Street. It's right. Yeah. Okay.
Hop, skip, and jump from my house. Yeah. But that's not what I called. I called about that. Going back when DJ was talking about, that he'll just always vote pro-choice, no matter what, and that's not a winner. There's other facets that make up a campaign, and if that was such a winner, why is Mark Molinaro running a new ad stating that that he's not for national abortion and he's pro-choice and everything else like that? And actually, when you went to commercial break, he also had to backpedal again on Social Security. Well, if you're coming out and saying a new ad, now you're saying then apparently you did say that in future time and past time, and it's not a winner. I mean, and as far as what's going on as far as spirituality in this country, the fastest growing segment is nuns. That NONES, people, no affiliation. People have an open mind. They don't want to be told anything, which they want to do it for themselves and have their own spiritual beliefs. So that's about all.
All right. Well, I mean, everybody is entitled to his opinion. I have no problem with anybody's opinion.
No. Well, but I'm just saying that there's more to it. And
sure. Well, of course, it's complicated. I mean,
a woman.
Hey, if you want to support someone's right to choose, you can do it. If you don't want someone to have the right to choose, you can do that too. That's the beauty of America. It's not.
That's a big loser this year.
Well, of course it's a big loser. Of course it is. Because there are more women who go to vote. So, of course, look, if it was the other way around, if this affected the rights of men, then men would be energized. I mean, a lot of men are going to go to the polls anyway, and some men, Martin, as you know, will be energized about this issue. So my guess is that Republicans, certainly Republicans in New York, know how this is going to play out. That's why they have to be very specific. They have to be very specific about their personal views, including if their personal views differ from their party's presidential candidate.
Yeah, well, exactly. And Harris is making strides, too, in this morning's paper, too. She's really picking up more of the black vote. And, of course, and excuse the pun, but the big trump card, too, is you wait till about October, the Swifties.
Oh, the Swift, you're right. And when Taylor Swift, here's the thing, when Taylor Swift endorses Kamala Harris, at that point, it's very possible that the Republicans will just concede even before November 5th, because at that point, they'll realize there's just no hope. Given the popularity of Taylor Swift, and not just among women, there are a lot of men who like Taylor Swift, and if she publicly endorses the Democratic ticket, or conversely, we shouldn't assume, she might, I'm not saying she will, she might endorse the Republican ticket. What then?
Good God.
Well, I'm just saying, what then? I'm not assuming anything. Anyway, appreciate your call.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Taylor Swift. Hey, never assume. There are a lot of people who've made assumptions before about presidential elections, and they've turned out to be wrong. It's 11:46 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
About presidential. I never said I was pro-choice, Martin. I said I was...
Oh, DJ, you called already. WNBF, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Grant from the town of Maine.
Morning, Grant. What's going on?
Well, I just had a couple of things I wanted to air. Number one, on the abortion issue, people are saying that life doesn't begin at at conception, and it does, because if it's growing, it's alive. Number one. Number two, the Democrats were saying, and still are saying, that if Trump is elected, we won't have a country anymore. So there's a little bit of hypocrisy there, too.
Well, some might be, not all. Anybody, look, Grant, anybody who says if Trump gets elected or if Harris gets elected, we won't have a country, that opinion has to be just disregarded anyway, because clearly they're just trying to exaggerate and try to scare people. We're going to have a country regardless of which candidate wins in November. We're going to have a country, and this country will still be great. No, the country's, but the country's not going to be the same regardless. The country's never the same. It's not the same today as it was yesterday, and certainly not the same as it was 20 years ago. That's not a problem.
I certainly agree with it. I certainly agree with it.
Yeah, but can I ask you? Can I ask you directly, Grant?
Go ahead.
If Donald Trump wins, we'll still have a country, right?
Yeah.
If Kamala Harris wins, we'll still have a country, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And your life won't. Answer me this: regardless of who wins in the November election, your life will still be pretty good, regardless of who is sworn in on January 20th.
Well, it might be better with Trump than with Harris, because she is touting all this socialist stuff, and I don't believe in that. Obama did say that he wanted to transform the country.
He wanted to, and he didn't. He didn't.
Well, he went. He went. All
Here's
over
the thing, especially, look, Donald Trump wanted to transform the country. He had 4 years. He didn't.
Oh, he said he wanted to make it. He said he wanted to make it great.
It's the same thing. Transform the country, whatever.
Well,
so he had a catchphrase, and it didn't work.
Yeah. Well, hers didn't work either.
Well,
they're not working now.
Catchphrases are catchphrases. Bottom line is, every president thinks they're going to transform the country, and the bottom line, most of the time, not all of the time, most of the time, presidents, even if they have 2 consecutive terms, don't really transform the country. The only way they really could transform the country is if they had Congress on their side, and even then, we saw what a Democratic-controlled Congress, when Barack Obama became president, they weren't able to do much of anything. They did some, but they could never, on several major issues, they never got that much done.
No, because there's always opposition.
Well, and the other thing is, even though people, if you've lived in this country for any length of time, as I have, you understand we're not going to be going over to communism or socialism. We're going to maintain the same basic system that we've always had, because in the end, it's not the Democrats or Republicans who control things. It's the people with money. And the people with money, whether they support Democrats or Republicans, they still want to make a lot more money.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, so the basic premise of our country is not likely to change in the next 50 to 100 years. I'm not saying it won't, but it's certainly well, I hope not either. I mean, no, I hope some things are made better, but the basic premise of the country is sound. So Republicans and Democrats, they can talk all they want during campaigns. They're not going to change a lot, because they depend on the people with a lot of money to get elected and then get reelected.
That's true. Well, look what happened in Russia and China. They became communists, and they were originally not communists. They were originally democratic.
But the USA is much better than them, in my opinion. Of course, now someone's mad. Appreciate your call. Hi, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where you're calling from? We're trying to squeeze in one more call. So all we're trying to do is get as many calls on during our Happy Monday show. Hi, Happy Monday show. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where you're calling from?
This is Vinny from Binghamton. Bob, good morning.
Well, there you go. Spoiling my happiness. Everything was going just swell, and now look. Now I've got to listen to you for the next 20 minutes. Okay, go.
Well, I just wanted to get some information. You know, I heard some of your other callers talking about, did you know about this? Did you know about that? Listen, go to immigrationforum.org. And I want, well...
by the way, I have to ask for some of our listeners, in case they were wondering, are you a communist?
A communist? No.
A socialist?
I don't hang out with them either.
Are you hanging out with a lot of communists and socialists, Vinny?
Oh, well, I believe in some social programs.
Yeah, well, the United States government has some socialistic programs. Okay, continue. I just wanted to get that out of the way in case our listeners were concerned.
Well, I just wanted to refresh Donald Trump supporters. You guys do know he's an election denier. You do realize that, right? He's an election denier. Don't forget that. And I want you to remember something else. The Democratic-led Senate, they wanted that Border Security and Asylum Reform and the Emergency National Security Supplemental Appropriations Act. That was the bill. And then go look on immigrationforum.org. Look at that bill that you Republicans turned down in the House. Go look at it. Look at that bill. I know you're talking about that bum who was up there in Endicott. Go look at that bill. Study that bill. You guys turned it down. Joe Biden said, you put that bill through, I will pass it, by James Langford, Kristen Sinema, and Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut. Go look at that bill, you guys. You Trump supporters, I want you to look what you turned down, what the House turned down. Mike Moses Johnson wouldn't even let it come to the Republican-led House. Please, go look at it. Study it.
Okay, they will. You know our listeners. They will if you ask them to. I appreciate the call. Hi, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Joe. I'm currently in Endicott.
All right. What's going on, Joe?
Well, I was just calling about the whole thing with the immigration, and a lot of people are talking about it because of the incident that happened in Estill there. And the immigration was kind of being curbed the last year or so of Trump in office because of the executive orders that he had put in place. And it seems to me a little bit disingenuous to make it sound like, oh, if they would have only passed that bill, we'd have no immigration problems. The immigration problem exploded towards the end of 2021 when Biden was sent out the call to invite everybody here. And then people don't understand why are immigrants coming from Texas, how do they end up in New York? Well, the number one reason is because Texas doesn't want them, and Kathy Hochul invited them because it's a sanctuary state. So that's why they're here. It's not that complicated. And if Biden wanted to really curb the immigration flow into this country, which he caused, he could have easily just reinstated all the executive orders that he rescinded on the first few days in office.
All right. Well, I appreciate your call. Thank you. Just wanted to get in a note. Just got this from Stan. Keep up the good work, Bob, and you never know. Phil Donahue of Broome County. Thank you, Stan. And he also points out that we just learned this morning that the legendary Phil Donahue has died. He was 88 years old. I know I heard it on the news at 11. So, yes, we extend our condolences to the family of Phil Donahue. What a talk show host. Great guy. That's all the time we have for today. Don't worry, though. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm Bob Joseph, live and local on WNBF.